Our guest this morning is from the Lone Star State, but he'll be bringing his Texas grit and stardom to New York in the month of January. We welcome in professional bull rider standout Cooper Davis. Cooper, what's up, my man? How's it going?
It's going good, man. Glad to be in New York.
Excited to see you here on the show with us this morning. The PBR is set to return to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. What can fans expect to see at MSG on January 7th and the 8th?
You're going to see the top bull riders in the world, along with a full 2.5 hours of entertainment. I mean, there's never going to be a time where you're not laughing or, at least entertained in some way. It's the best bulls in the world and best bull riders in the world. So there's a lot to see.
100%. Our Bronx State cameras covered the 2020 event in person. The PBR is something that I tell fans that you have to see in person to do it justice. I mean, honestly, Cooper, I feel like the experience combines so many sports. How would you explain that atmosphere and what it's like for you to compete in such a dangerous sport?
I think you nailed it. I mean, whenever you're going head to head with a 2,000-pound bull, there's not much that couldn't be entertaining to watch. And these bulls are athletes as well. And, whenever you're having to battle that out against guys that want to win and want to win just as bad as you do, it's going to be a lot of fun to see.
In fact, that 2020 season saw your season and career threatened inside of MSG. You were ranked number 5 in the world and fractured your neck after bucking off of Midnight Rock in 2.79 seconds. What was that recovery process like for you?
It was a long process. For about the first 6 months, I was in a neck brace and wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to. And, but started working out again in May and was back riding bulls in August and feel better than ever.
So you end up taking the remainder of the first half of that season off. And then you come back really with a vengeance after the injury. You take your PBR's Premier Series by storm. You finish inside the top 10 in 2 of the first 3 events after coming back, and you end up winning in Nebraska en route to the World Finals. That must have felt great after being, pretty much a life-threatening injury.
Yeah, it did. Whenever you have an injury like that, you can do one of 2 things. You can either hang it up or you can rededicate yourself, and that's what I did. Coming off the injury, it really just motivated me to be the best I could be at that point, and put a lot of work, a lot of hard times in the gym just to get back to where I am, and it's paid off.
So that's kind of a flashback here on the show to the 2020 season, but you want to talk a little bit more about 2021 and get us to 2022. You carry that momentum from 2020 into 21, and you end up fighting for the world championship. You held the number 1 ranking for 5 weeks during the season, rising up as high as number 3. Statistically, 2021 might have been your best, either 2021 or maybe 2015 when you win the World Finals. Do you think this past season was your best ever? And can we see even more from Cooper Davis in 2022?
Yeah, statistically last year, 2021 was my best season. I rode 53% of my bulls, which if you can ever ride over 50% of your bulls, it's a great year. But between that year and 2016, 2015, those 3 years right there, they stand out to me as my best years in my career so far. But 2020, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with that, and increase that riding percentage even a little bit more past that. So I'm looking forward to it.
So Cooper, you've been ranked top 10 annually since 2015. What are your career goals in the sport moving forward?
I would say win another world title. That's going to be at the top of my list. It all starts right here in New York, but winning these major events like New York, that's a good way to start off a year and really make a push for another world title.
We had Colton Jesse on a couple of years ago when we were covering the event, and some of the things that him and I spoke about is just that so many people don't know about the sport. So if you could walk us through how you got into the sport and then what it takes to stay in shape for the sport and what that process is like, so that maybe the fans at home that have never been exposed to it can kind of get an idea what PBR is all about.
Yeah, this sport is very similar and a lot different than other sports in the same aspect. So we all grew up wanting to ride bulls. As a 5-year-old kid, I was watching the PBR on my TV, and I just knew that that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't talk my parents into it until I was about 12 or 13. My sister married a guy that rode bulls professionally, and that was my way of talking to my parents and to let me do it. And from 12, 13, 14, I started getting on bulls, better bulls. And by the time I was 18, I knew I was good enough to make a career out of it. And there's a lot of hard work, a lot of practice. The only way to practice is to get on bulls. So, and a lot of time in the gym.
So, Cooper, was your first venture into Madison Square Garden as part of the PBR, or had you been to the Garden before for maybe some other events, whether it was Rangers or the Knicks or even some other single event at MSG?
Yeah, no, my first time at MSG was riding with the PBR, and you want to talk about a feeling of nerves whenever you walk in there and just know that you're in a building so iconic. And yeah, I mean, it was a crazy feeling. I still get it every time I walk in.
Since we have you here on the show with us this morning, might as well ask you then, since you haven't been to the Garden for anything else, are there any other sports outside of bull riding that you're a really big fan of? And if so, which teams and which sports?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of football. I've always been a Dallas Cowboys fan. And, as far as I got to go to a basketball game last night at MSG, so that's going to be at the top of my list of other sports that I've gotten to witness. Yeah, it was a crazy experience.
Being a Cowboys fan, this has definitely been a good year for that. I know being here in New York, I'm sure a lot of those other fans of other teams have kind of taken to almost making fun of both New York football teams, except for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, no, it's been a great year to be a Cowboys fan. So, it's since about the '95 Cowboys, this is as good as they've looked in a long time.
Cooper, a couple more questions before we let you go. We just wanted to kind of reiterate, in your opinion, what, aside from actually, I guess, being immersed in the sport and trying to kind of indicate to someone that would be a novice coming to the sport, what would be the best part of the entire experience? Because I know that the PBR tries to combine a lot of things. And again, it's kind of like the big secret of trying to get people involved in a sport, especially in certain areas like the Northeast, where it's not as popular, but you guys come into town. You also come into New Jersey, New York. And when I was there in 2020, had a huge crowd for the event.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is you don't have to have a cowboy hat to come to a PBR event. A lot of guys outside of PBR really aren't too cowboy. I mean, myself, I live on a half an acre and I wear skinny jeans half the time. So, no, I mean, it's well-rounded. Anybody can come. The family's welcome. There's something that everybody can watch and take away from it in a positive way.
And a final question, it would be, who's biggest competition for you? I guess lay out, what fans could expect to see, because, in the top of the world rankings and some of the competitors that you'll be facing and some of the tough tasks that you have ahead coming up on this season.
Yeah, so Ka'iki Pacheco, he's always at the top of the list. And Jose Vitor Leme, that's the guy that won the world title last year, and a young kid named Mason Taylor that's really coming along here. That's going to be the biggest competition, I think, all year long. And but the biggest thing is I just have to worry mostly about myself and keep all that, in the peripheral vision.
No, of course. I mean, that's what it's all about. Well, Cooper, thank you for taking the time with us here this morning, and fans can head on over to pbr.com for more information on the schedule, on the events, and of course to purchase tickets at MSG. Appreciate the time, Cooper. Always great to catch up, and do your best at MSG. Hope that you win.
Yes, sir. Thank you.